Well, I'm not going to shout this time because last week I screamed. I did my woo. I think I exploded all the sound. So we'll be nice and calm, nice and easy. Let's go.
Let's
God,
go, man. And
this is the night before Thanksgiving. So this is fun. Thanksgiving Eve. I remember back in the day, I wouldn't be talking to you folks right now. I'd be out partying. I don't know about you, but
I know.
this is a different way to do
I
it.
just said I just said to my wife before we were recording this, I'm like, we should go out for a drink after this and go hit up the bars like we used to when we were in our 20s.
There you
I was
go.
like, that sounds like a lot of fun. So maybe that's where I'm heading right after this.
I like it, Tommy.
So,
All right. So, questions and answers. What we do in this session is work with our Project 2740 community members. We have them ask us certain questions. Could be about their business, could be about the process they're going through, could be about their personal lives. And then Tom and I go back and forth trying to answer that the best we possibly can. So, Tom, who's on first today?
we have Kristie.
All right, Kristie, first, can you let us know who you are, what you do, and where people can find you?
Awesome. Yep. Kristie Wilkerson, and I am the founder and CEO of Innovate to Elevate, and I teach people to make incredible content with AI. And you can find me on LinkedIn as Kristie Wilkerson, or you can find my business, Innovate to Elevate.
Nice. All right, so you got us here on a Wednesday night. What blazing question do you have for us? Nice flowers, by the way. I like those.
Thank you. My question is around, I did the work to revamp my 5Ws, and in those, I was focusing on my what, right? And it's tied in with how I'm communicating with people on LinkedIn. So I think I have been expressing to them that I can create incredible content with AI through images I'm sharing and videos and music and things like that. And I need to shift my messaging now to be that I can teach you how to create incredible content with AI. And that could be presentations or Excel documents or, automation in your Microsoft Cloud, or it can be images, video, music, and that kind of thing too. And so I need to make this shift now, and I've started, doing myself on camera, on video on LinkedIn now as well. But what I'm running into is the tutorials take a long time, right? And you guys, I see it inside your curriculum. You've got classes anywhere from 3 to 9 minutes or even full hour long instructor-led sessions, but you have found this way to go put content out there that's these little, 15 seconds to a minute kind of short form content. And once in a while, it's a little longer. And so I would love your advice to me. I think I'm not the only instructor type that you've coached before. What would you recommend, in ways that I can be communicating with my community in that short form video and still getting the word out about who I am and what I do?
Love it. All right, me or you, Tom, first?
You go first.
All right, so the transition really for you is going from telling people you do it to telling people I help you do it. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do you actually help people do that? What's one way you help people to actually do it?
So I have 3 different ways I can deliver.
One. Just give me one.
I teach instructor-led training.
Okay.
Right. That's
How do you teach instructor-led training?
So I will have folks on a Teams call with me, and I will go through the curriculum together. So I show them how I do it, and then I walk them through guided instruction on how to do it themselves.
Okay. Just stop. Full pause. That was a piece of content.
Okay.
So you can literally just tell people exactly how you do this. So the way that I do this is I bring people on, I walk through how I do it and show you how to do it. And it's wonderful because, and then you add the rest of it in. Or it's effective because, and you add the rest of the stuff in. So most of the time when we're trying to figure out messaging for anything, we just have to role play this out loud. Now, I did it this afternoon. I had to create a lesson plan for something. Some of our members have been struggling with prospecting. Okay, and I'm like, okay, it is very convoluted. So what I did is I opened up Microsoft, I hit dictate, and I just spoke my thoughts. I spoke the whole thing out. And then I took it after that and I looked at it and I'm like, that is a perfect way to show everybody how to do this. Now, what I ended up doing is I took it and I put it into AI. And I said, hey, can you make this more in a lesson format? And then I took it out of AI and I said, all right, I don't like these words. I don't like this format. I don't like that. And I edited the final piece. But it was just me explaining like I was explaining to one of you. This is the whole thing from beginning to end. This is how you would prospect. And now that is a whole lesson plan. Now I could take, I think it was like 8 different sections. I could take each one of those sections and that now is a piece of content if I want. Okay, so I could just say, hey, the importance of prospecting is X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C. And if you get that right in the beginning, everything else in the end is very, very simple for you. But don't expect this to be easy because you're going to probably put 80% of your sales time into doing the prospecting. And then when you have a full pipeline, you're still going to put about 50% of your process in sales to prospecting. So I'll let you know this. Make sure that you're prepared for the time, but the system will make it simple. And see, I just created a piece of content.
Mhm.
All right. So by the way, go ahead and use that. See, we're recording on 2 cameras, so I can use that for a piece of content right now. So that's another way that you can go ahead and get your messaging across. Just do what you do and then watch it back and be like, oh, what I said right there. That is a message I can get across. So it's not necessarily just a video or this or that, because I did a written piece of content. I did a video piece of content. I did all these different things. What you're saying is, look, this is, if I do it for you, people want to know a few things. Number one is how, they always want to know how you're going to do that, right? Because they're guessing, is that going to be effective or not? Number two is they're going to want to know why they should have you do this. So you'd want to qualify that with some of your expertise, your experiences, things of that nature. But all it is really saying what you do each and every day. It's just you're so caught up, and yeah, I've spent my life gaining these skills to do it, that I know exactly what I do. I don't have to explain it, but they don't know. And that's the key, is when we are shifting our messaging, we have to understand that these people haven't had our lifetime of experience with us. So we have to give them little nuggets of the past that maybe made us who we are today. Does that make sense?
It does.
And Kristie, I heard in there that were you also asking about the duration of these sections of content? And what is your exact concern around the duration?
I can tell, like, just dropping like a 3-minute and a 6-minute video this week. I mean, the performance is so low compared to what I normally put out there. And so, you know, and even Danny's advice to us and Connor and Sam's is short form most of the time, and then like 1 long form a week or something like that. And I could also put those out on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely the trend is, you know, people have a short attention span. So the shorter the piece that you could get across exactly what you want to say, the better it's going to be in the long run. I mean, most of us can't pay attention these days for more than 3 seconds, okay? It really is. So, like, you have to try to get your point across in what you're going to do in your content in 12 to 15 seconds if people are going to stay engaged. So it really depends on the platform that you're on. Like some platforms, people will sit there for 5 minutes and watch it. LinkedIn, that might be the place. But Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, they're going to be shorter. But it really depends on, you know, what you're trying to say, and make sure that you say exactly what you need to say in that first 10 to 15 seconds to grab the attention of the audience. I mean, that's what we've learned. We've had experts that we have taken, you know, courses from, and Adam and I have tweaked our stuff, and we've learned all this different stuff. And when you're creating a course, like a longer form course, or you're doing a podcast like we do, we very rarely go beyond 30 minutes because that is really the most amount of time that most people can spend listening to something if they're not going to break it down into their own shorter segments themselves. So you just have to be aware of the different styles of content and what you could get away with making a little bit longer versus what you need to keep shorter. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't try to fit it within a certain time frame just because the algorithm or you know, whatever platform is saying it has to be that. Like, make sure you create it right the first way and then edit from there.
Okay. Because some of it, like, it just takes a minute and a half to show you. Like, the shortest I can get it on how to do something. That is what it is. But I hadn't thought about talking about how I would teach you how to do it, right? There's other ways I could do it than actually teaching it all the way out if I want to find some shorter ways to say it. So.
And if you recorded something that ended up being 3 minutes and you want it to be, you know, 1 minute, you could make that part 1, part 2, part 3. That's fine too.
I like that. That's a good idea.
All right, Arthur, you are here, my friend. Nice to see you. What question do you have?
We didn't introduce Arthur, so let him introduce who he is and what he does.
Okay. My name is Arthur Saino. I reside in the city that never sleeps, New York. And we have deals that never sleep. I sell cars, and I basically help people buy cars. And to sum it all up, I'm basically a concierge services where we deliver the car to your home or office. And we carefully take your hand and we select the vehicle for you that's right for you financially, physically, and maybe even spiritually, and for your family, for your whole household. And we are able to do so without any biased opinion or any hidden agenda. We really want to make sure all of our customers are pleased, happy, satisfied, and cannot stop referring us to their friends and family members.
That's awesome, Arthur. Great job. All right, so what's your question for us tonight?
There's
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Where do they find you, Arthur?
Oh, right. They only make one of us. You can't really find me anywhere else except directly when you have to contact me. I had tried to make myself available in every social platform. Obviously, the most obvious by telephone, email, address. You could come see me in the office, physically face to face, get to meet a celebrity, and shake my hand.
Where would they look up all this information? Your website, LinkedIn, Instagram. You want to give your phone number out here? Everyone will pull for you.
Hey, that is crownautololeasing.com.
CrownAutoLeasing.com.
Oh, he's singing a jingle now here, Tommy?
We're at CrownAutoLeasing.com. Get your concierge car service today. Hey, why not? It needs a little jingle. You should have a jingle, Arthur. Think about that, man.
Maybe we will. Yes, maybe we will. We always try to think outside the box.
All right, now that we've embarrassed the hell out of you, we love you, Arthur. What question you have for us, pal?
Now I'm going to embarrass myself. So, this question, I think, is not only for myself. I think it's for many business owners, many leaders, many managers who work with people. I think there's a very thin line between a business owner and a manager and the relationship between yourself and your employees, because you need to have an authoritarian figure where they respect you and they do as you tell them to do and you lead them to do. But sometimes they get a little bit too comfortable because of our fault, because we allow them to stay comfortable. I want to know, is there a secret sauce where we can enjoy life, be free, be comfortable with our employees, make barriers and what's the word I'm looking for? Boundaries. Thank you. Make boundaries. Just have a successful relationship where, hey, these are the boundaries. This is what's not acceptable. At the same time, it is a little hypocritical because when you set boundaries, you may break these boundaries because you just want to have a good life. Why you always have to walk on eggshells? You want to have fun with people, not to humiliate them, but just to have fun with people. And how do we live a life like this? Because
let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Is there a specific circumstance where you feel like a boundary has been crossed by either you or your employee that made the relationship of manager to employee very difficult?
Okay. So, of course, we never see what we do wrong, so I cannot tell you what I did wrong. But what I could tell you is just this week, we had those office manager that was on a leave of maternity leave. She came back with the baby. It was so fun. It got a little bit too comfortable here. I was trying to use something. One of the employees basically said, he might have to think about it for 20 minutes to decide if he's going to do that or not. Which I took like, hey, buddy, you overstepped a little. You're not in a position to speak like this. Yes, maybe you got too comfortable because there's a baby in here, which is already made that mistake. Another thing was mentioned where I was trying to plan out the route, right? And the employee said, well, aren't you going to hire some help? Why don't you just hire the help that you mentioned you're going to hire? You know what? I had a one-on-one conversation with him. We're saying, look, it's boundaries. Maybe I took it too far. Maybe I allow you to be too comfortable, but it's not really your place to tell me how to do my job. And if I made you feel comfortable, or if I made you feel like I'm incompetent even for a tiny bit for you to think like I need your assistance or opinion on how to do the job. It's still not your place to say that, where obviously it's a little bit disrespectful. And after that, it got a little bit too cold. We hugged it out, he understood, but then it got too cold and I'm like, it's not what I was not going for that. It's either too hot or too cold for me. I want to have room temperature water.
Yeah, he's
looking for the Goldilocks zone, Tom.
Yeah, he's looking for that very comfortable yet not so comfortable. Not you know where you stand, but you really don't know where you stand, kind of thing, right? One of the secrets to really leading people, and I want to distinguish between leader and manager. Okay.
Yeah.
Managers do things right. Leaders do the right thing. There's a very fine line between the difference between manager and leader. A manager is going to execute on the things that need to get done, where the leader is going to set the vision for the organization. So just take that in that context, okay? But the leader creates the culture of the environment. You cannot be both leader and manager. Okay, it's really hard to be both. And you really should never try to be both at the same time. Okay, you should really decide what role you're going to take in most situations with the people that work with you. Are you going to be their leader or are you going to be their manager? A leader does not get caught up in all of the minutia of the management. Okay, they don't get caught up in, building all those relationships with people, with building certain professional versus friend boundaries. They're just focused on getting the work done. Okay. But what you have to do is to set the tone as the leader of the business. Okay. And the tone has to be that this is a professional work environment, regardless of what happens. Okay. If somebody comes in and it gets very friendly, it could get friendly at times, and there's an appropriate time and place for those things to happen. I remember when I was working in the corporate space that we used to have to remind people that a holiday party was still company time, and things were still happening on company time at that holiday party. So you couldn't harass anyone. You couldn't get drunk. You still had to behave professionally. So what you have to first and foremost is communicate that this is a professional environment, okay? And there's a fine line with becoming concerned with your employee or getting to know your employee a little bit versus becoming friends with your employee. And I really think that that's a finer line that you have to be very careful of. When someone thinks that they're your friend and you're their boss, you have to remind them that you wear the role of the hat of the boss. And that right now, are you speaking to me as a friend or are you speaking to me as your boss? And sometimes you have to set people straight with that kind of language. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. The other side of that is that if someone gets too carried away, then you have to pull them into a private space and have a conversation with them. And be like, listen, I understand sometimes we could get a little friendly. Things could get a little out of control. It happens. I just want to remind you of your position and my position and remind you that you still work for me. And at the end of the day, this is a professional environment.
What if that feels arrogant? If it feels wrong to kind of, is that?
That's where your mindset has to change, right? It's not arrogant to remind people of the role that you play in that business. Because if you don't establish the role, they're going to have a very confusing perspective on what your role actually is. What you're seeing as arrogant is really role definition. Okay, if you define the role and you create the boundary of the role, like I'm the boss, right? I'm the leader of this company. I'm the CEO of the company or whatever, and you work here for me, that's not arrogant. That is clear expectation, boundaries on the role that you fulfill. And when they work for you, they're in the role of employee. They're in the role of the employee no matter what. It doesn't matter. After you leave the office, if you want to go hang out and be friends, then you can go out and be friends. And you can wear your friend hat when you're out of the office. And then you can speak to each other as friends. But while you're in the professional work environment, they are the employee and you are the boss. Does that help you?
Yeah.
You don't seem satisfied with that.
Yeah, because I thought there was a secret sauce.
There's no secret sauce. The secret sauce is being very clear on what your role is and what their role is.
Okay.
Adam, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll give him the secret sauce. So there it is, Arthur.
Okay, what is it?
Listen, the secret sauce to leadership and management, and I agree with what Tom's saying, is that it's, this doing it right or doing the right thing, right? And the secret sauce to leadership and management is you have to act exactly how you want them to. That's it. So if you expect things to be extremely professional, wearing suit and tie, and you show up in a t-shirt, everyone's going to be like, hey, Arthur's pushing the boundary. I can too. I can come in a t-shirt as well. And if you're going to start questioning people in public and berating them, they're going to do the same to you. They're going to do the same to their colleagues. You lead the whole culture. You will tell them exactly by what you do, not by what you say. So however you are reacting to them, treating them, managing them, leading them is exactly how they're going to do that to their colleagues and to you. So what I would do is look at, with these situations, how did it become comfortable in the first place? Did you allow for that, or did they push your boundaries? How did that happen?
It came out of nowhere. I want to say, obviously, this came out of nowhere, right? Because
How did the baby end up in your office? Did you invite the baby in? Come on, bring the baby in. I'd love to meet the baby. Did you do that?
no.
So they just showed up with a baby, and you're like, cool, we got a baby here today.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking. Explain the scenario.
Oh. It just the coworkers really wanted to see the baby and the mother of the baby.
Okay.
So
How suckers did, but you and did they ask your permission, or did they just all decide?
I mean,
Lay it out. Remember the scenario, my friend.
it's a little, complicated because it's my sister-in-law. So
Remember the scenario. I don't care the dynamics of it. I want to know how did it go down? The coworkers wanted to see the baby.
Yeah.
And then did the baby just show up, or did something happen next?
No, the baby showed up with the mom.
So they just showed up. You had no clue. All of a sudden, you look over in your office. There's a baby in my office. Hey, baby, are you selling cars today? What's up? How did the baby just show up?
It was transported here in a stroller.
I don't know, but no, come on, man, be serious.
Yes, I did not invite the baby. I did not invite the baby. Just the baby just ended up.
Oh, what I'm asking you is, did you just look and all of a sudden the baby is walking in your door? Was there any communication before that with you?
No, it was like a surprise thing, because no, there was no.
So it was a total surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. Now we have something. And then what did you do upon that surprise?
I was glad to see the baby.
Okay. And did you say anything to everybody? Oh my gosh, so nice to meet the baby. Da, da, da. Hey, let's spend like 15 minutes getting to know the baby, and then we'll all get back to work. This is really great. We get to do that. Did you do anything like that?
No.
Okay. So it was out of your control because baby just shows up on site, which that's something that's not good in the first place, because you're going to have to pull those people aside and say, hey, in the future, just do me a favor. Let me know when something's like that's happening, because I had some things planned and that interrupted the whole day. Okay. But you're going to now say, hey, baby's here. This is amazing. Let me see that little baby. It's so great. Here you go. Hey, let's you know what? Let's take the next 15, 20 minutes. Don't worry about answering the phones. Right? Let's spend time with the baby. Then we'll get back to her. You see how I'm positioning that?
Yeah.
It's like, this is great. This is awesome. Let's stop doing what we're supposed to for now to enjoy this time, and then we'll get back to it.
Right.
Okay. So you're going to have to, spur of the moment, make leadership and management decisions. And if you had zero control of that, you got to take control of that. Okay, but you don't have to be, what did you call it before? Arrogant? You don't have to be arrogant. You're just like, hey, we're all here to work, but I'm going to give you this time to do this thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, but the secret sauce is it's how you act, my friend, is how they're going to act.
Right.
Okay, and it can ebb and flow. It can go up and down. And so you can change it for the positive or the negative starting tomorrow. Do you want to change it for the positive or the negative?
I'd love to change it for the positive.
So what can you do tomorrow? What do you want to change? Tell me one thing you want to change.
I want to be able to communicate freely, knowing it's going to hurt people and upset people, but doing it anyways because I know I need to do it.
You want? Wait. I'm not understanding. Do you understand that, Tom, or no?
I think I understand it. He doesn't want to upset his brother and sister-in-law, or your brother-in-law and your sister-in-law.
Yeah.
And so, but you need to put some kind of boundary in place, right? Like, you've set a precedent now, and that's the other part of what Adam is saying around your behavior. By our behavior and how we handle a situation, we create precedent for what will happen in the future. So now what your coworkers think is that if any one of them has a baby, they can bring a baby into the office to meet everybody. Right? So what you need to do is just put a stipulation or a rule in place that says you're welcome to bring your child in. However, I need to be notified prior to that happening so I can give you the best time to make that happen. That's what really needs to take place. That should not upset anybody. Say, listen, it wasn't a problem bringing the baby in. It threw off the work a little bit. I wasn't expecting it. In the future, I would just appreciate a heads up. And I'm going to let everybody know that we can't, this is a work environment. It's a professional environment. In the future, if you'd like to bring a child to work or do that, then talk to me before we go and do that. And then you have to uphold that for yourself as well. You can't just bring your kid in.
Okay.
Right. That's what we're saying is then you can't contradict what rule or precedent you're putting in place. But you could do all this in a positive way, Arthur.
Yeah.
So you could very simply say to them, hey, if anybody wants to, bring their kid in, what I'd love to do is give me a heads up, because then we'll do like a little special thing for them, right? So I want to prepare a little something, or I want to get cake, or we'll get a little pizza and we'll all celebrate together, or we'll have this thing. Like, you make it like this part of the culture, because here's what happens. People who set rule after rule after rule after rule kill the culture, and nobody wants to be there anymore, right? So you have to balance this thing of like, hey, we're professional, but I kind of want to feel like a family, and I want to be professional, but I want to, enjoy our time together. And it's like, ooh, it's a dance that you're going to go along, and you're going to have to figure ways out to make these things acceptable.
Okay.
All right. So if I knew as a leader of my organization, someone had a baby, what could you do beforehand to prevent this?
Probably invite them yourself.
There you go.
Right.
And say, I'd love to come in. We'll have a little cake, but can we do it on Wednesday at 5 p.m. after we close? We'll hang out till like 5:30. I'll lock the doors up at 6. Anybody wants to stay around.
So it's my fault because I never invited baby.
It's not your fault, my friend. It's
don't play.
You're learning. You're learning.
Okay.
Okay, it's not your fault. It's you experienced something. You have information. Now you're going to use that to make new changes in the future, or replicate things you liked. Okay, because you liked certain parts, but didn't you like seeing the baby?
For a few minutes.
Did you like the reaction of your employees seeing that baby?
It was good. It was refreshing.
Right. So this parts of it you like. So how can we keep the good stuff and get rid of the bad stuff?
I mean, I guess.
All right. On that note, Tom, we got to wrap this up. For any of you who are waiting in our live Zoom meeting, we'll be there in one moment. So thanks again. Thank you, Kristie. Thank you, Arthur, for being here, being opened up, answering some questions. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You got it. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.